To the May 4th, 2023 Parks and Recreation Commission regular video meeting. I am Jody McCarthy, Parks and Recreation Commission Chair. Tonight's Parks and Recreation Commission meeting is using video conferencing technology provided by Zoom. The Zoom video of this meeting is being recorded and will be broadcast live via Zoom and will be uploaded to the city's YouTube channel later this evening. City staff and guests are participating in tonight's meeting remotely. Other public audience members are listening to the meeting by telephone or via the internet. Additionally, the city has opened up the community center to provide public space for viewing and participating in the meeting. Welcome to all, and thank you for joining us tonight. Commissioners, please turn on your microphones. Will the city staff please call the roll?
Thank you, Chair. Chair McCarthy.
Here.
Vice Chair Struck.
Here.
Commissioner Cohen.
Here.
Commissioner Burstein.
Present.
Commissioner Markson.
Here.
Commissioner Westberg.
Here.
Commissioner Hay.
Here.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. City staff, is there anyone who has signed up for appearances that wishes to address the commission?
No, there is not, Chair.
Thank you. All right, the first item on the agenda is the department report and update, and we welcome Recreation Manager Ryan Daly.
Good evening, Parks and Recreation Commission. Allow me to share my screen really quick. Let me know if that shows up for you.
We can see it.
All right. Okay, off and rolling. It has been, obviously we took the month of April off, so we do have a few updates to highlight to the commission tonight. First of all, it has been a busy couple of weeks for us. City Hall is closed, and I think the commission may be aware of that. Some tiles containing asbestos were disturbed in the boiler building or in the boiler room, which also contains some HVAC equipment. And so that required us to shut down City Hall while we conduct some tests. And we do anticipate moving back in sometime late May, maybe early June, once we work through that testing procedure. City services have not been interrupted. We've been working with the police department specifically. They are housed at the community center now. I've got some donut jokes that I'm not going to tell tonight, so I can keep them friendly, but honestly, it has been really good to have them in the facility, interacting with the community as well as our staff. So it's a good opportunity for us to continue to intermix. We do have a number of CPD staff who have moved into the Public Works building. We have some staff down here rotating in at Luther Burbank. So your Parks and Recreation Division, or the Recreation Division specifically, has been supporting this closure fairly significantly with the community center as well as the Luther Burbank building. And as most of you know, the Recreation Division staff serves sort of a dual role with emergency management. And so that's something that we're utilizing as we address this closure so that it limits any impacts to the community and our services as possible. Annual board and commissions recruitment. This you all have received numerous emails on as we have attempted to recruit. We've extended the deadline to May 12th. So please, if you have anybody interested in any of the various boards or commissions that have vacancies, please encourage them to apply. Our anticipation is that at the June 6th council meeting, City Council will appoint those positions, and then we'll be able to move forward. In the meantime, we have, I believe, Commissioner Hay and Commissioner Cohen, specific to the Parks and Rec Commission, received emails that we would keep them on through the month of June until those appointments are officially made. The Parks and Rec Commission has the first meeting of the month out of all other commissions, and so that's just kind of how the time frame played out. So if you have people who are interested in applying, please send them to that link included on the slide. How about some good news? Your community center has had a great first quarter. Great in number of participants coming in for our drop-in programs as well as rentals. And I'll give you a little nugget. I'm going to save most of this until June, but we have seen more facility use hours by rentals than we did in 2019. So pre-pandemic, we're actually exceeding those hours of booking. And so that's an excellent data point for where we're operating at. It's also, I'll say, a little bit challenging from time to time based on our staffing model, but it's a really good problem to have here in the first quarter. And one of the things that has led to this success is the implementation of new tools. And one of those tools is called Civic Optimize. It creates this process, an ease of process for the user as well as staff for taking online bookings. So we're working through that. We're also developing calendars that'll ease that, the amount of back and forth that needs to occur with a potential rental, allowing us to move forward and get those booked that much quicker. And so we've seen a lot of success in our early implementation, and we're going to see this progress as we go forward through athletic fields. We've implemented a process similar to this for our park permitting and some other areas. So it's a great first step that we've had here early in 2023. And if you're interested in booking the community center, you can go to the link there, eventsonmercer.com, and fill out the online form there. Bike skills area update. So we've moved forward with American Ramp Company, and they will be preparing to submit permits later this month, 4 permits later this month. We also are working on, our park operations team is working on volunteer opportunities to assist with removing the old vegetation, and some other work to help prepare that site for construction. And we're still targeting that late summer, early fall construction window. There were, as many of you know, there were concerns around safety on the ICP trails. Safety improvements on 84th Avenue Southeast specifically are being designed by the city's transportation engineer and have been green lighted for completion later this spring. Along with that, our parks ops team has coordinated some vegetation trimming, improving sight lines around 84th Avenue as well. And then you have that picture of smiling Sarah there. She has been out doing trail counts to establish that baseline pedestrian, biking and other trail use data point for us, so that we can continue to track this as the facility opens. And we'll continue to apply those updates to the Let's Talk page. So continue to pop in there to see what's coming next and where we are. But obviously we'll continue to bring these updates to the Parks and Rec Commission on a regular basis as well. And the good news just keeps on rolling in. So this is about the grants. The state legislature has put forward funding for all 4 of the grant requests we put forth, $3.5 million worth, and those are all listed there. I won't go through each of them, but a huge thank you to a number of people who supported via letters and whatnot to the state legislature to secure this funding. And Paul's not going to like this, but we have a nickname for him around here, and it's the Grant Whisperer. He's done a tremendous job, put in a ton of time going forward and securing these grants, finishing the paperwork so that we can come up with $3.5 million in grant funding for these projects, which is just outstanding. And we're not done yet. There is a King County grant outstanding. And then we also, and we were on a call earlier today, as the commission will recall, with the donation policy or the gift acceptance policy, establishing those specific items that will go down at the Luther Burbank Plaza area, whether it be benches, picnic tables, umbrellas, other amenities. They'll be on that registry so that those can be automatically donated should residents choose to do so. So great work by Paul and team, and thank you to everybody who participated in securing these funds. Leap for Green, what a day. It was our Earth Day fair. It was the return of Leap for Green, we should say, and a huge thank you to Cedar Grove and the Mercer Island Community Fund for their sponsorships. The event included sustainability vendors, tons of entertainment, kids crafts, electric vehicles, food, a petting zoo, and a lot more. There was a whole lot going on at the community center. We're estimating somewhere around 1,500 attendees. And thank you to everybody who participated and came out. We had a lot of volunteers who were organizing and running those booths at the event, and it was extremely well attended. Just a great opportunity to re-kick off that event, which will continue for years to come. Mercer Island Farmers Market. Doesn't it feel like June is coming up on us a bit quickly right now, especially after this weekend with the sun? But the farmers market will kick off Sunday, June 4th. It'll be the same format, similar location to previous years. The market will run every Sunday from 10 to 3 p.m. Through September. And if you're interested in checking out the music calendar or becoming a vendor, the link is there at the bottom. And finally, summer celebration. You're going to see this slide over and over and over. We are gaining some sponsorships. I will say it's they're trickling in slower than last year, which maybe has me a little bit scared. So we're really pushing that right now. If you know of any potential sponsors or anybody interested in supporting, please send them our way. But there are a ton of opportunities still available for different sponsorships. Applications for community groups. If you'll recall, last year we had a number of community groups take part in hosting booths, which really contributed to that community feel that was the event last year. And we're looking to continue that this year and expanding to including art vendors as well as additional food trucks. If you recall last year, the lines for the food trucks were a bit long. They ran out of food. We had such a large crowd that was a challenge. So we're adding additional ones this year. And another bit of good news, I should say, is the community parade is coming back. This will be a walking parade this year. So we're not including vehicles, but a huge thanks to Island Books, John L. Scott, and Island Treats, who are really putting this together and helping us to coordinate the parade entrance and whatnot. So more information is down at the link below, and that date is July 15th. So please put that on your calendar. And from what I can tell, it's going to be about 75 degrees that day. So it's going to be beautiful. With that, I thank you, Chair McCarthy, and I will pass it back to you.
I see that Vice Chair Struck has his hand up. You're muted.
Peter.
Thank you, Chair. Ryan, regarding the sponsorships for July 15th, is if somebody wants to sponsor, do they have to call somebody? Is it online that they can look and say, oh, for $500 I get this, or $1,000 I get that, or?
Yes, exactly. At that link shared below, there is it takes you to our sponsorship booklet as well, which lays out a number of different levels of sponsorship. That's something to meet everyone's budget.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you, Ryan. All right. The next item of regular business is to review and consider approving the minutes from the March 2nd, 2023 meeting. Commissioners, may I have a motion to approve the minutes of the March 2nd, 2023 meeting?
I move we approve the minutes from the March 2nd, 2023 meeting.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. There's been a motion by Commissioner Westberg and a second by Commissioner Hay. Commissioners, does anyone have any questions or comments before we vote?
This is
Mr.
Don.
Cohen?
This is Don Cohen. I have a motion to amend the motion. There are two different things that I thought, for clarity, in the first paragraph, at the end of the first paragraph, after the word staff period, I would suggest we insert something like option 3 would improve the existing 72nd Avenue overpass trail intersection, comma, but would not create a new about feature. That's my first one. My second one is, and again, this is just for clarity, my second one is right as you continue down, right after the 6-0, at the beginning of the next sentence, right before staff, I would suggest putting something like inserting Chair McCarthy indicated that the PRC task force comprised of her and Commissioners Cohen and Hay will revise the draft handoff memo to council for discussion at the next PRC meeting. So those are my two suggested amendments, just to make it a little easier to understand for somebody reading these minutes at some point who doesn't go back and look at the video.
Okay, well, should we table then the motion to approve the meeting and go first with the motion that Dawn has made to amend the minutes to add this additional information? Do I have, okay, so Dawn has made a motion. Do I have a second?
This is Vice Chair Struck. I will second.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table to amend our minutes in section 3 regarding the Aubrey Davis Trail Park safety to add that option 3 would improve the existing 72nd Avenue overpass trail intersection, but would not create a new roundabout feature. And then also to add after the past 6-0, Chair McCarthy indicated that their PRC task force comprised of her and Commissioners Cohen and Hay will revise the draft handoff memo to council for discussion at the next PRC meeting. Raven, did you get all of that?
I did. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, so can you please take the roll?
Thank you, Chair. Commissioner Markson,
Yes, approved.
Commissioner Burstein,
Aye.
Commissioner Struck,
Aye.
Commissioner Hay,
Aye.
Commissioner Westberg,
Your mic is off, Rory.
Aye.
Chair McCarthy,
Aye.
Commissioner Cohen.
Aye.
All right, so that motion has passed. So now let's go to our tabled motion, which is to approve the minutes for the March 2nd meeting. And the motion was made by Vice Chair Struck and seconded by Commissioner Hay, correct?
No, this is
Oh,
Vice
sorry.
Chair. I think it was Ryan.
Thank you, sorry. It was Commissioner Westberg.
Rory, excuse me. Rory.
Yeah. And then it's seconded by Commissioner Hay. Okay, and does anyone have any questions or comments before we vote on this one? Okay. City staff, can you please call the roll?
Thank you, Chair. Commissioner Markson,
Aye.
Commissioner Burstein,
Aye.
Vice Chair Struck,
Aye.
Commissioner Hay,
Aye.
Commissioner Westberg,
Aye.
Chair McCarthy,
Aye,
Commissioner Cohen.
Aye.
and the motion passes and the minutes are approved. Look at us using our new knowledge of motions, etc. Going to work there. Okay, the third item is the King County Library System Mercer Island Branch Annual Update. And we are going to welcome back Recreation Manager Ryan Daly, who's going to introduce us to the KCLS staff. Welcome.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chair McCarthy. Again, Ryan Daly, your recreation manager. And just everybody give a little pat on the back there. Way to use that training from last week. That was very well done. Thank you. But I will be introducing our KCLS liaisons here in a second. But I do want to just remind the Parks Commission and those who are watching this meeting what the role of the Parks Commission is as it relates to KCLS. And when the Parks Commission was formed, there was a duty and a responsibility included in the bylaws which included to provide a forum for the community to express their views regarding library services on Mercer Island and to serve as an advisory capacity to the King County library system. And so that's really what we're here to do today is annually we come back, engage with KCLS. They provide an update on services, and it's a good opportunity for the commission to engage with staff members from KCLS, as well as get questions answered and provide the community that opportunity to engage through this meeting process with KCLS, in addition to how they may otherwise reach out to KCLS to provide input, periodically. So with that, I would like to introduce John Scheller and Brian Candelari from KCLS, and I will pass it off to you since our commission, actually there is one person I would like to introduce Brian and John to, and that is Craig Reynolds, who is our city council liaison. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Chair McCarthy, Councilmember Reynolds, commissioners and staff. Thanks for having us. Thanks for your service to our shared constituents. And I'd like to share my screen briefly to make a few framing comments from the King County Library System. I'm John Scheller, the Government Relations Manager, and then I'll connect you with your local Mercer Island Library staff, whom I feel you are probably most interested in hearing from. But if I could share, here we are, slideshow from beginning. Can everyone see my slides? Thank you. So again, we'll be talking with Brian Candelari and Joe Baldwin, your local operations manager. Just a reminder for the commission and anyone watching that King County Library System is a regional library service provider established by the state. Our district includes every part of King County with the exception of the city of Seattle. Members annex to our service, and members have annexed from 35 cities, both of the tribes with property in our service area. And here's a fun fact, 250,000 unincorporated residents in King County. If the unincorporated area was a city, it would be the second largest in the state. So we got a lot of folks out in unincorporated. Funding, we are 96%, roughly 96 property tax. We get small amounts of revenue, no direct state funding. And then I want to pause here for Councilmember Reynolds and Ryan, just make sure I have this accurate. There is no direct funding from the city of Mercer Island or the city parks department. That's correct, isn't it?
No, there's certainly direct funding for the city parks department, which I think is what you said, but I don't think there is for the library, if that's what you mean.
No, I mean, there is no direct funding from the city or from the parks department to KCLS, correct?
I believe that's correct.
Yes, that's correct.
Great, thank you. Just want to let you know we are nationally recognized. We were recently selected to be a finalist for an Institute of Museum and Library Services National Medal for Library Service. We're in the running for this. It's a big honor. It not only recognizes the world-class service that we are providing and attempting to provide, but it also allows our services and our approach to pulling out of COVID and moving forward to serve as a model for the 120,000 public libraries nationwide that are struggling with some of the same issues that we've been dealing with. So I just want to give you that as a little boost of confidence. Your mayor was very complimentary of that, and we have our fingers crossed that we may be an actual medal winner. Lastly, as I introduce Brian Candelari, I want to let you know that we will be sharing a communication plan. Our plan is to get together with you more often. We know you have it as a charge, and the once a year review or updates has been helpful, but we're doing a lot more now, and we think we might be able to come more frequently to give you more updates. With that, are there any questions for me before I throw it over to Brian? Great, thank you. Let's see how I can exit here.
I see that Commissioner Cohen has his hand up.
Oh, thanks.
Oh,
I'm on
no.
a laptop. I couldn't
Sorry,
quite see that.
that was a mistake. Sorry.
Oh,
Okay, thank you.
okay, Brian, I think you're up.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to meet with us. I'm going to go ahead and share the slideshow we put together. Let me see. Ryan, I don't see the share button.
It should be along the bottom
Oh,
if you roll your
it's the
cursor.
big
along
green
the-
one, right? Yeah. All right, cool. All right, so can you all see this slideshow that's loading?
We can.
All right, thank you. All right, so what I wanted to do is go over what we've done at Mercer Island over the last year and tell you about what we're looking forward to doing on the island over the next coming year. So like most of us, last year was a year of transition. A lot of the restrictions regarding COVID started to get wound down. We currently have 2 librarians at Mercer Island, but over the past year we had 3. Carrie Bowman has retired, so we are in the process of filling her position. She's the teen services librarian. And David takes care of adult services, and Kelsey, or Miss Tiger, if you go to the programming, that is her role, and we'll have some cool photos of her in a second. So just running through some quick stats, between April, which is when programming was, we were able to start offering programming more, through December, we had 50 story times with more than 1,200 folks going and attending. And Friday mornings is when we really mobilize in terms of our services to the youth. So we have a morning toddler time, a repeat toddler time, because the demand from the community is so high. I actually think if we were to keep repeating that every day, it would fill up because of the active participation from Mercer Island residents. And then that is followed by an afternoon preschool story time. We also engage with teens, and we have, I'll cover some of this stuff in some future slides. So in the adult programming, we've had 8 programs, and I'll just go through a couple of the cool ones, including my favorite, which was the Dickens Carolers. So at story times, we at KCLS really made a commitment to providing in-person story times. So many of you, I'm sure, have children and hopefully have utilized your local library, if not ours, then wherever you were leaving before. So we really focus on early literacy skills, language skills, numeracy, gross motor skills. And you can see this is Miss Tiger. You can see the little ones are very excited. And we are usually at capacity, fire code capacity. So props to Miss Tiger for the great work she's doing. We also have been offering chess initially from home, which had, for online programming in 2022 at least, I think most of us were pretty done and over it. The engagement we had with the Mercer Island community is tremendous, really, in a lot of ways. So the attendance online was between 12 and 20 folks per session. We have a expert chess player who comes in and teaches the kids. You can see in the attendance numbers that they really peaked over the summer and into the new year. And then, of course, as the school takes hold, we start losing some folks. So this is some photos of of some of the beautiful children on your island. You can see how psyched they are to play chess. Pretty sure most of these kids could probably beat me. I'm not a big chess fan. So the the teen services, which interacting and engaging with the teen community can be very challenging, but previously Carrie Bowman did a really great job, and she partnered with the Mercer Island School District, and they had a Race to Be Human film and panel discussion. So it talked a lot about the impact of racism through stories and the expertise of the lived experiences of the students in that school on Mercer Island, scholars and educators. We got a lot of participation. You'll notice a more captive audience at the schools increased our numbers, but we also thought it was important to provide it to the wider community of Mercer Island. So we did that in the library. And we also, in adult programming, we recently, by recently, I guess I mean about 5 months ago, we had a Ruins of Memory, Women's Voices from the Holocaust. And this had a pretty good turnout. We had about 16 folks when we got some pretty great feedback about that. Additionally, this is when I say recent, using it the correct way this time. Recently, in late March, we had BJ Cummings come to the Mercer Island Library, and we had 45 people, which is where you start to get into that fire code territory. So that was a really cool turnout from the community, and focused on some of the more interesting aspects of Washington's history, especially, you know, after we have all moved through a lot of the civil protest over the past few years, which we've incorporated into the values of our institution at King County. And this was in line with those values. So talking about how and why the current occupants of this land got here, but focusing a lot on unrecorded Native and immigrant histories, and exposing some of the settler falsehoods about founding of the state, and the history of it. It was at one time a Superfund site, and I grew up in New Jersey, so I am not far into that moniker. So what we're looking for going forward, what we want to continue to do, you saw the kids earlier, we want to continue to do great early literacy programming. We also want to engage with and provide more programming for seniors. Senior centers, you'll see later, we have worked with some of them in our outreach efforts. We have a partnership with the high school and middle school and some of the clubs. We want to continue to grow that relationship. We have already started to look into a partnership collaboration with the Crest Learning Center, which is part of the Mercer Island High School, and specifically serves the LGBTQ plus community. And lastly, one of our service goals for Mercer Island in 2023 is engagement with elementary school age children. So this relates back to the early literacy programming for children, but this would be more in the lines of programming in the building. So, other types of programming for children. So the chess program would be an example of that, but really also soliciting feedback from the community, all of you, about what things we can do to better serve the residents of Mercer Island. The outreach efforts that we've had over the past year include the 3 here. So 2 of them already focusing on one of those key goals that we have, which is senior engagement, and the Country Village Day School, which is a child care facility. I wanted to take a moment and thank the friends of the Mercer Island Library. Any of you that are on the line or watching or know someone who is in the Mercer Island Friends group, we get a tremendous amount of support from them. And without their support, a lot of the more innovative programming that we're able to do at Mercer Island would not occur. So I just wanted to plug that briefly. So thank you to the friends of the Mercer Island Library. And here's some cool stuff that we think you might want to attend yourself. So we are continuing to do story times on Fridays. We have, many of you will be aware, summer reading is pretty much the public library's biggest focus when it comes between May and September. So we have a Mikey the Rad Scientist program, and that'll be on the 26th, so that is coming up. And with adult services, in a couple days, in 6 days, there's a opera preview for those of you who are into opera. We also have a 80th anniversary appreciation viewing of Casablanca. Some of the questions that the commission provided to us, I wanted to address. If you're anything like me, I'm very visual and I need to see things typically, which may have played into why I went to library school. We currently, and my role as the Riverview Regional Manager is to support the branch the branches in this region. So if you can see my mouse, it's Mercer Island down through Skyway, Renton Highlands, Newcastle, and Issaquah. When we looked at expanding hours, we had a number of different data points that we were looking at. We had circulation, we had how many people are coming in and out of the door, we had computer usage, we had a host of different data points. And we also wanted our decisions to be guided by our values. A big one is seeing things through a lens of equity. Going forward, sometime in the summer, we will be expanding hours once again. At that point, the 4 libraries here, Renton, Issaquah, the Crossroads, and Bellevue branches will be open for 7-day service. The Mercer Island Library will continue to have 6-day service, but all of these, I didn't put colors on the other regions, but every region will have 2 and is limited to 2 branches that have 7-day service, which is due to a number of staffing issues, many things that play into those decisions. So I know that there were a couple of questions about that, and I wanted to make sure that you understood from the KCLS perspective why that decision was made and where. I joined KCLS in November. I have worked, I don't know if there's any New Yorkers on the line. I used to work for Brooklyn Public Library, initially in the jail services, Rikers Island, and then in some of the more underserved neighborhoods of the country before moving down to DC to work at their public library. And I very specifically chose to come to King County because it is nationally well known, and I'm very happy to work here. I started in October, so there will be some questions that you may ask that I may not be able to fully answer. I have tried to prep myself as well as I can. But one of the things that I'm really keen on is making sure that we are engaging with the commission further and bridging potentially some of those communication gaps, depending on the reception. If folks are not necessarily interested in us coming to as many meetings, that's fine too. But we want to reach our hand out first. So in terms of what we will be doing, we plan to rotate between librarians. One of my colleagues, Joe Baldwin, is also on the line. He is probably the face that you would most be familiar with. He is the the operations manager, and myself plan to rotate through the PRC meetings so that we can provide you more contemporary or topical updates. The information that you should feel free to take away from here is this is my email and phone number, and Joe, who is likely to be your quickest contact and also the person you will see the most when you walk into the branch. This is the email you can reach Joe at, along with the number to the branch. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions you may have. We are very grateful to the Mercer Island community and its support of the branch. And we welcome, and please do not make yourself a stranger. If you have ideas, programs in particular that you would like to see us provide, email us, come in, talk to us. We can't always do the thing that we want to do, but we will definitely try to do it. And that is the end of my presentation. So I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. I believe you, Ashley and Peter, both threw up their hands at the same time. So Ashley is unmuted, so we'll throw it to you first.
Great, thanks for that presentation. My question is about the expanded hours, which I think is something our community speaks up quite a bit about. Everybody's excited to have 7-day service eventually. So I was wondering if you can give us some idea, the rationale and reasoning behind opening Renton and Issaquah in Riverview, rather than something more central like Newport or Mercer Island. And also when we might see 7-day service at all of the branches, including ours.
Sure. John, did you want to take that?
Yeah, why don't I start with just a reminder that in her February report to the KCLS board, our director of operations, Angie Miraflor, shared plans for all libraries to be open Monday through Saturday in this phase of our expansion of hours. So we've begun a rollout, and starting May 15th, some of the regions will begin with their expanded hours. We don't have a start date yet for Mercer, but Brian and his team will get that to you. But we're doing it in a rolling fashion, and that is going to take all of our resources for 2023. So I want to right size your expectation. We'd love to say 7 days a week for everybody right away, but that's not going to happen in 2023 for Mercer Island. Brian, did you want to address anything about the other locations in the region?
Yeah, again, a number of different data points were utilized in order to determine that, which branches are being opened. Size, needs of the community are definitely some of the top probably 10-ish data points that were considered. In terms of central locations, we serve all of King County outside of Seattle. So that definitely played into the decision that was made in order to determine which branches would be open. And that was the decision that we landed on.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Ashley. Peter.
Yes, thank you. First, yeah, thanks for all this great information, and especially for you, reaching out for kind of more opportunities to communicate in the future together. That's great. If I can just take another run at the hours, I get kind of that there's a triage going on and so forth, but could you tell the community saying, yeah, right now we've kind of penciled in as a placeholder Q3, Q4 of this year, or it's really not going to be till 2024. I'm just trying to level set because that's probably the one question I get asked the most is, well, why is the library not open, or more, if you will. And so any insight you can give us on that, understanding that, things can always change and so forth.
Yeah, it is definitely a 2023. Brian, I don't know. I don't want to speculate, because even you asterisk it and caveat it all you want, people are going to hear a date and kind of really hold us to that. But it's definitely 23, right, Brian?
In terms of 7-day
Mercer
service?
Island, Monday through Saturday.
Yeah. So it's sometime in the summer, and something that we haven't really touched on, but I think would be really important to bring up is, I don't know how many folks on this call work in public services or with the public directly, but over the past several years, we have seen a tremendous amount of folks who have determined that public service may not fit their goals, and they have pivoted. So like many companies and agencies and institutions, I can tell you nationally, this is a problem. We are in the process of hiring people, and it takes time to onboard them, to get them into a place where we can rely on them to open buildings and provide quality services. That has been a huge bottleneck, which John alluded to earlier, in terms of what our focus will be as an agency over the next several months. So we are trying to do as much as we can with the resources that we have, and that's really determining a lot of these decisions.
Okay, thank you. Just maybe one quick follow. You provided 2 snapshots of branch statistics, and I was trying to understand kind of the time period that was being taken, because obviously I'm looking at the 2 of them and they've got different numbers, so they must be for different time periods, but I couldn't really decipher what the time periods were.
What
One
slide
of
are you
them
on, Peter?
was comprehensive 2022, and one of them was the first third of 2023.
Okay.
And I apologize if that didn't somehow label. It is the file name, if the file name is available to you. What we were attempting to show is levels of business all of last year, and how we're tracking the first 4 months of this year, on track to see the the checkout of the materials looks like it's likely to surpass 2022. It's an interesting split that in 2022, the use of electronic versus hard copy materials is quite high. The electronic side is quite high. And it looks like the in-use library, the increase in story times is having the impact of a lot more of the physical materials being accessible and utilized.
Okay, yeah, I can, now that you're giving the 2 time periods, I can see that, from the data, which one is which. So thank you for that. And I'll jump back into the queue.
Were there any other questions or comments? Oh, sorry, Rory.
Yeah, I had one, and it's more clarification. So just based on what you and John have said, Brian, sometime in 2023, the Mercer Island Library is going to shift from a Monday through Friday, Saturday closed, Sunday open schedule to a Monday through Saturday, Sunday closed schedule. Is that what we're looking at?
At least from my end, I go to Mercer Island somewhat, so I think of it as Sunday to Friday is what they're open, and then we're kind of kicking it in one day.
So Sunday will be closed, Saturday will be open.
Monday to Saturday, yeah, we're moving services forward.
Right, great, okay. I appreciate that clarification. I think that'll help because a lot of people, I think, wanted that Saturday opening. More people tended to use the library, I think, before on Saturdays, particularly students. So
students, yeah, I mean, like it's platitudinous, cliche, tedious, but libraries are also, like every other industry, going through a certain amount of examination, right? We have to adapt to the new needs of our community. And we're seeing ebooks, as the data John provided. You're seeing a huge spike, which is also, I would add, very good in terms of accessibility for different languages. But we're just seeing different usage trends. And so we're trying to adapt to that as we scale back up.
Sure, yeah. I hardly ever get a hard copy anymore.
I hope you use Libby. It's a phenomenal app.
I do.
Good. With that, unless there's any other questions.
Looks like Ryan's got a hand up.
Oh, sorry, Ryan.
No, thank you. I just wanted to let the commission know, as well as those who may be listening, those I guess those data information sheets that we were just talking about, those will be included into the commission packet after this meeting, as well as the presentation. So the community as a whole will have a chance to see that information as well.
So I guess last words for me, at least. I want to thank Joe Baldwin, who's on this call, who does a phenomenal job at Mercer Island with his staff. And I want to thank all of you for the work you do, and the Mercer Island community for its support. If you have questions, comments, concerns, ideas, programs, whatever it may be, please feel free to utilize that contact information. I will answer anything I can. And if I can't answer it, I will let you know. So thank you for having us.
I'll add my thanks to that, and also kudos. I come to Rotary a couple times a year at Mercer Island, and I was there recently when Bill Radke was the keynote speaker, and your parking lot at the community center was packed. It was so good to see everybody in there, not just Rotarians too, but just general use. So hats off to Parks Department.
Thank you. Okay, all right. The fourth item in our agenda is the Aubrey Davis Park Trail Safety Improvement Project 30% design. We welcome Paul West, who's the Senior Capital Improvement Project Manager.
Good evening. I'm Paul West, CIP Project Manager, and glad to be here talking again about the Aubrey Davis Trail Safety Improvements. This is the hopefully the wrap up of the design at 30%. And I'd just like to make a few comments about your staff report. One is that there is a now complete set of the 30% design plans in that staff report that you were provided so that you had a chance to look at the overall proposal and an updated cost estimate that goes along with it. So I'm hoping you had a chance to look at those. I'll also just say that in the staff report, we've laid out the kind of the timeline of the last 6 meetings that we covered this topic at. And I wanted to say that the pivotal meetings really were the September meeting where we took each kind of area of concern and went through it with the design team one by one and kind of discussed, all the minutia of the design decisions that went into the 30% design. And this was after 2 meetings where things had already been tweaked and updated. And at the end of the September meeting, the Parks and Rec Commission was confident enough of this design that they went ahead and decided to have a draft memo prepared for transmitting the design to the city council. And then the other meeting was the last meeting in March, where you wrapped up design really by resolving the last outstanding design issue, is what was going to happen at the 72nd overpass intersection. And so I think that tonight you're being presented with something that has been well discussed and gone through quite extensively. And I think you have the chance to decide on moving forward tonight. With that, I will open it up for comments and questions.
Commissioner Cohen.
Don Cohen. Paul, I noticed that the cost estimate includes trail illumination at a $40,000 figure. And I mean, the commission substantively hasn't discussed or made any recommendations regarding trail illumination. We've heard, we've received information on that. So can you just tell us, process wise, what that means in there? Because I don't think it means that the commission has taken action recommending that, but I wonder what your take on that is, please.
The commission has not taken a formal action on it, but it was repeatedly, the reason that it's in there, it was repeatedly mentioned as a, if not must have, a very good idea by commissioners, by the design team, by WashDOT. I had, in the meetings that we've had, I have not heard anybody say that illumination of that intersection was a bad idea. Have not seen it in public comment. So that's why it's in there. What it is not been defined, but it's something fairly simple, which is probably a single light pole that casts down on the intersection. It's not, I don't think it's multiple fixtures. Because it's just really lighting a very confined area, which is that intersection.
Jody, can I make a comment in response to that?
I will allow it. Ryan, did you have something? You popped on?
No, I was just gonna ask Paul to kind of clarify when the decision for what that illumination would be and when that would be made. Since we're talking about a 30% design right now,
right?
What that looks like going forward.
Yeah, so 60% design, you'll have much more information. You'll have a location and a fixture concept. It won't be detailed out to finishes and necessarily styles, but it'll you'll know the structure of that lighting by then, and they'll be able to refine the cost as well by then.
Thank you. All right, Commissioner Cohen, what was your comment?
Yeah, Don Cohen. I don't know why there hasn't been any comment, public comment directly on that, but the subject of lighting, I think came up, several times. You're right, but that was when we were focused on a roundabout, an actual roundabout. So we have, I think that may explain in part, but whether it explains it or not, I think it maybe, I guess it's at the 60% stage. We know from some other parks and rec facilities on the island that there are some people who want to take a close look at potential impacts of lighting that might be negative. I don't know whether that's true here or not, or whether if there are some that they're far outweighed by the safety issues. So I wouldn't want to have anybody feel that that the commission has actually taken action specifically supporting or not supporting lighting, other than the comments received.
Thank you. Commissioner Westberg.
I have two things I want to cover. First, as a follow-up to Don's, I think my recollection is that the question of lighting that intersection did come up in public comment. It was raised by a number of the cyclists that use that area frequently to commute or for recreational riding. When we started talking about doing some kind of a treatment to that intersection that might have an impact on the trail or might create an obstacle to cyclists in that area. So it did get public discussion. I guess the second point I would raise is that we as a commission are making a recommendation concerning an overall 30% design concept. It doesn't mean we've necessarily taken a vote on every single element in that design. There, the exact wording of signs, the exact spacing or composition of striping or lighting. So I think I would look to the 60% design process to give us more information on what the lighting would look like, where it would be placed, how bright it would be, that sort of thing, so that in case there were concerns, the design would address it. But the second question I wanted to ask Paul is, based on the cost estimate, how much are we over budget?
It's approximately $126,000. If you add in all the cost to construct.
So we'll need to come up with another source for 126,000.
Well, the Parks and Rec Commission is not responsible for managing the budget of this.
Who is then?
City Council.
Well, no, I know the council is ultimately, but the council will have to come up with $126,000 more.
Yes, correct.
Because we're over the grant amount. Okay.
Or I mean, I don't have a clear path forward for you, but council will see how much they're over budget, and at their meeting on May 16th, and we'll be able to decide, or maybe not decide, but at least have the opportunity to consider whether that's an issue for them at this point or not. I mean, there are some things that could bring that cost down, but they may give us the comments that, yeah, you need to kind of trim this scope, or they may say, we realize this is all good stuff, keep going. I don't know what they're going to say.
Right. Yeah, I appreciate that. Thanks.
Okay. Commissioner Hay, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I did. I just wanted to comment that this has been, I think, a really positive process. There have been a lot of different iterations of this and lots of changes throughout the way. And I think we ended up with a really nice design where we're at right now. So I just appreciate the patience and the perseverance of everybody involved, the staff and the commission, and the collaborative process that this has been.
Thank you. All right, with that, commissioners, may I have a motion to approve the 30% design recommendation and approve the transmittal memo and authorize the chair to submit the memo and recommendation to the city council?
So moved.
All right, and do I have a second?
Second,
All right, so Commissioner Burstein has made the motion and Commissioner Westberg has seconded. And I think, and questions, comments, Commissioner Cohen? Oh, you're on mute.
Don Cohen. Paul, in the design now I didn't notice it. Is there anything that says anything about illumination in the design itself? Now?
No, there is not. It's
Okay, that's fine. That's what I thought, but I wanted to confirm that. Thank you.
Okay, commissioners, please turn on your microphones. Will the city staff please conduct a roll call?
Thank you, Chair. Commissioner Cohen,
Aye.
Commissioner Burstein,
Aye.
Commissioner Hay,
Aye.
Commissioner Westberg,
aye.
Vice Chair Struck,
Aye.
Commissioner Markson,
Aye.
Chair McCarthy.
Aye.
Thank you, Chair.
All right, and the motion passes. So we finally done 30%.
Yay.
Woohoo!
Yay.
Plus more. We've done it all up front. So now it's going to be easy from here on out. All right, the fifth item of business is the 2023 planning schedule update, and we will welcome back Ryan Daly.
All right, thank you, Chair McCarthy, and wow, that was quick work. We'll keep rolling then. So just to touch on the planning schedule, from what I had included in the packet, obviously we do have a couple of changes based on emails you saw from the city clerk. So just to call out that June meeting, the chair, vice chair elections, we're going to move those to the following meeting in July when we have an updated roster for the Parks Commission. So that'll be forthcoming. On that June meeting is also the recreation facility naming policy. That will be coming forward from Cassidy Berlin from the city manager's office as well. And we'll be talking about the just the guidelines, the standards, the criteria for what we're putting forth in that policy, seeking commission input to help inform on that. So we'll be bringing that forward. That'll inform not just the naming of park facilities, right-of-way areas, restroom facilities in parks, those kinds of things, but it'll also include the process for renaming and the criteria that would go along with, I guess you could say, decommissioning a name and changing that as we go forward. So that is coming to you in June. I do anticipate and have been working on this week the 2022 Recreation Division annual report. So that'll come in memo form. I do anticipate having a little bit of a conversation with the Parks Commission. I want to highlight some of the really outstanding work that's been done last year and early in this year that I alluded to in the department report earlier. So that'll be coming forward. And then we'll get to that July meeting where we will talk about bylaws. We'll elect our new chair, vice chair, and then I'm hoping to bring back to you the gift acceptance policy that we had worked on and the commission endorsed. That should be just about wrapped up with procedures as well, so that we can roll that out. And we do, behind the scenes, just a little nugget for you, we have been working on that gift needs inventory and also included elements from the Luther Burbank Plaza area within that. So something to look at as we go forward. We'll also be including some specific elements for the Luther Burbank tennis courts and the bike skills area. So those will be donation opportunities that come forward there. Then you're going to see a little bit of a break for a period of time. You're not off the hook. We do have some master plans coming forward that will eat up. I shouldn't say eat up, but it will utilize some of the commission time for Mercerdale, Groveland, and Clark Beach, those various projects. And then we'll wrap up the year reviewing the pros plan and what some of those outcomes toward those goals were, as well as reviewing those recreation policies that we instituted late last year. We're going to talk about how those are coming out, what maybe the commission's feel is, and see if there's anything we need to adjust as we go forward and continue to get better and enhance those policies and procedures for access to facilities, special event sponsorships, all of those items that we had covered previously. So with that, I don't have any other updates on the planning schedule, but I will, I saw Rory's hand first and then Commissioner Burstein as well.
Go ahead.
Thanks, Ryan, and for that update, and thanks for mentioning the master plans. That was sort of my question, which is, when can we anticipate beginning to wade into those master plan processes and issues?
I'm gonna guess, I should never guess on these meetings, but I'll do it anyways. I'm gonna guess September, October is when we're gonna be moving forward there. We do, if you recall, one of the other items was park zoning. I do anticipate that coming in later in the year as well. So though those 3 meetings look wide open, I wouldn't guarantee it. I wouldn't book your vacations yet. Commissioner Burstein.
Just a point of clarification, it's a Luther Burbank pickleball courts, not tennis courts.
Multi-use facility. Excellent point. Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Ryan. All right, the 6th item of business is commissioner reports and work plan updates. Do anybody have any comments or things they want to share about the parks? And Vice Chair Strack.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I just wanted to recognize a couple of community members, Steve Woloshin and Barry Miller. They've been working with Ryan and some of the other park staff to reinvigorate the, I'll call it the 55 plus golf group. And they've spent countless hours, and so they have now booked tee times every Monday except for holiday Mondays through October. So if you want to play golf on Monday morning, just send an email to mercergolf23@gmail.com, and they'll get you on the list, and they can show you how they developed a really slick way to register, and it's a great way to meet community members. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Commissioner Hay.
I just wanted to thank Paul West and everyone else involved in securing those grants for all of their hard work. That's really exciting. So I appreciate that. And I wanted to note that I took my 3 kids and a couple of their friends to a girls' softball game recently at the South Mercer Playfields. And those fields are just beautiful. It was a really enjoyable event, and my son gets to play his Little League baseball game there this weekend. So really nice work on those fields.
Thank you for that. I know I was at a soccer game on Sunday at South Mercer, and it was so great to see all the fields being utilized by all the different groups, soccer, baseball, and lacrosse, and they were all out there enjoying it. So it's great when those collaborations work. I also wanted to give a shout out for Mercerdale and Train Park, because that's been getting some heavy use as well. And it's always nice to go by there and see how many people are using it. Does anybody else have anything that they want to add? I see no. So the next regular Parks and Recreation Commission meeting is June 1st, 2023 at 5 o'clock. The time now is 6:09. Woohoo, look at that. Record for our meeting, super fast. And the meeting is adjourned. However, as a reminder to commissioners, please stay seated until the city has terminated the Zoom broadcast. Good evening, stay safe and healthy.
Good night.
Go Crowds.